How's it going, everyone? I'm Brian Juris with the Gear Hideout, and today I'm going to explain to you how to put together your very own hard drive, your external hard drive for a Macintosh computer that can be used for video editing, photos. You could even use it as a boot drive. It's a little bit more advanced, and we're not going to talk about that. However, you can look up on YouTube and see a bunch of other videos that are going to explain how to install an operating system to an external hard drive. However, I'm just going to go over the simple, easy steps of putting one of these together. So I have an external hard drive enclosure right here. And so when you order one from Amazon, this one is by Inatech. It's a pretty inexpensive enclosure. They're about somewhere between $10 and $20 depending on like the level of features that you want. Now this one doesn't take any sort of external power, but you're not going to need that because you're going to be putting an SSD hard drive inside of it. This is a Samsung 850 EVO SSD. This one happens to be a 500 gig. You can put up to probably a 2 terabyte, maybe a 4 terabyte if you can find one and afford it. I would recommend, if you're going to be installing Mac OS to it or going to be using it as a boot drive, that you go with a Crucial drive over a Samsung 850 EVO or any of the maybe competitors out there, PNY. Just notice that the Crucial drives work a little bit better. I'll leave a link below. However, I mean, this drive works fine if you're just using it to store files or you're using it for video editing. It's going to be super fast. It's going to work great. And it's very cost effective to actually build a hard drive on your own, because you're going to get all the performance that you normally would have to pay for that would come like pre-boxed. But literally, if you just put the hard drive inside of the enclosure, that's it. If you wanted to, you could tape it down, or sometimes there's going to be some padding that comes with one of these cases to hold it securely in place. And then you literally just slide the cover on and you've made your own external hard drive. It's literally that simple. And then from here, you're just going to need the cord. And so we're going to take this cord and we're going to plug it into our computer. And then I'm going to jump into a screen recording and show you guys exactly how to set it up. So you could set it up as a boot drive, or if you wanted to, you could also just use it as an external drive for video editing. This is going to be perfect. It's going to be super fast. It's super inexpensive. For any sort of like 4K video editing, no problem. As long as you're working on USB-C or USB 3.1 or 3.0 super speed, you're not even going to notice a difference between an SSD and your internal drive in the computer. With the exception if you're working in, like, for example, like RAW files, RAW, or like something like a very expensive, like professional codec. But for everybody else, this is like perfectly fine, and like don't overthink it. Again, I'll have links for everything that you need in the description below. So now we're looking at Mac OSX. This is going to work for the later versions of OSX. If you're on a very old legacy version of Mac OSX, you might not have the Go menu, which we'll be using here in 1 second. So after you built the drive, you'll notice that it might not show up right here on the desktop, or if you're looking for it in Finder, you might not see it in your normal locations. So what we're going to do is we're going to just simply click onto the desktop anywhere. We're going to click Go, and then we're going to click Utilities. Again, just Go, Utilities. And once you're in Utilities, we're going to be looking for this Disk Utility. Click on Disk Utility. It's going to open up. So once your Disk Utility pops up, you'll notice that some drives are going to be grayed out, and you're not going to see them like on your desktop, or you might not see them in Finder, and that's where your new drive that you just built might show up. So if this is the case, then you would just click on it, and then you're going to want to click on Erase. And from here you can put in any name that you want to, and then you're going to have a number of options. So this APFS file format is Apple's new preferred file format. And then you have the Mac OS Extended Journal file format. This is going to be the legacy file formats. And then down here, if you wanted to format it so it can be read on both Mac computers and Windows computers, so you could read and write to it on both Mac and Windows, you would use MS-DOS, and then FAT. And now also just want to point out though, if you choose this option, you cannot have files larger than 4 gigabytes. So if you're working on videos and you think you're going to have like very, very large files, this is not something you want to do because again, you're going to run into problems. So you're going to want to choose a native Apple file format. And me personally, I haven't made the switch on my personal computers over to the APFS file format. I haven't heard many problems about it. But in terms of the legacy Macs, and if you want to be able to work between like an older version of OSX and a newer, like let's say you had an old computer and a new computer, you're going to want to stick with Mac OS Extended, and you can do journaled, which is going to be your basic file structure, or you can do encrypted if you're worried about like security on the drive. So in this case, we would just click journal, and then I would click erase. However, this drive that I have plugged in right now, to show you this demo, actually has data on it, so I'm not going to do that. But I do want to point out that sometimes you might have to erase it 2 times for it to work. So if you erase it once and you're still having problems with the drive, erase it a second time. Sometimes you can also get an error in which it erases it, but it only erases it halfway. Just do it again and it'll go away and it'll work perfect. And then from there, you can install OSX to the drive, or you can use it for video editing or photo storage or whatever you need. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and give it a thumbs up if you found this video to be helpful.